Right, so hey everyone and welcome back to another budget photography video. So normally I would be wearing my lavalier microphone, and I do have said lavalier microphone just here, but I'm currently trying out a new microphone for a review. I'm in the same location as always, but I'm sitting down rather than standing up. And yes, I have had a haircut. Quite well done, actually. I think I did quite well. Anyway, getting on to the point of the video. So one of the most vital lenses that you can have in your photography kit is a zoom lens, and a good zoom lens. Now, zoom lenses can be quite expensive. You know, you get the basic 75 to 300 in the kit, but that's never very good now, is it? There's lots of chromatic aberration in it, and it's basically just a purple image at this point. Or you also have the 18 to 55 millimeter f3.5 to 5.6, which is, yeah, it's a good lens, but it's only 55 millimeters. Well, on a crop camera, I don't know. But having a good zoom lens, all depending on what you do in photography or cinematography, can be vital. So I introduced to you the Canon L70 to 200 f4. Yes, f4. Picking one of these things up for about £300 here in the UK, it's an absolute deal, absolute bargain really, and you kind of don't really have an excuse as to not to buy one. Now, there is a more expensive f2.8, which will get you nice out of focusing areas, but fully compressed at 200mm, this lens will look amazing. Now, it isn't without its flaws. Now, where its biggest drawback will be is low light. Because this is an f4, you're gonna have to crank the ISO. Now, luckily with modern cameras, we have good ISO performance, but it's nice to try and keep that, you know, that ISO as low as possible so that you can get unnoisy images. Now, as I said, with modern cameras, ISO performance is getting better and better and better, especially from when this was introduced all the way back in 1999. So it will be bad in low light, but not as bad as maybe it once was, because the camera can kind of compensate, and yeah, we do have software to fix it in post-production, but I personally try to avoid that personally, because while yes, I can edit my pictures and I will edit my pictures, I don't want to get rid of the noise. I don't like what the editing softwares do to it to fix it. Now, something that I really do like about this lens is the focusing and zoom motor. It's got an internal zoom for a start, and both turn thingies are nice and smooth. There's no hindrance. This is a little bit tighter than this one on my one. I don't know if that will be on all of them, but it feels nice. It feels like as if there's lots of years left in this lens. Now, focusing. It does have a lot of trouble focusing. Now, you can change the focusing to 1.2 meters to infinity or 3 meters to infinity, which, yeah, sounds good, but I've had lots of trouble with this lens recently, with it focusing on a subject closer to me than what I actually wanted. So for an example, let's say I wanted to focus on that building just over there, but the lens would focus on this blue wall, for example. Now, if you are going to be buying this lens, I would actually, believe it or not recommend it on full frame, because on full frame you are actually only getting 70 to 200mm. I would recommend you get a crop sensitive camera or a full frame camera that can crop in itself, because that way you're going to get more reach. So this 70 to 200 becomes about a 3 to 400mm lens, and at 400mm that's really all you need. And plus, camera bodies change every year. Lenses don't really. I mean, the EF line of lenses has now stopped completely. So I would recommend pairing it with something like this, the Canon 700D. It's still a modern-ish camera. Now, yes, it doesn't have lots and lots of modern Wi-Fi abilities or NFC or anything like that, but you've still got enough megapixels, and it does actually have a fairly decent burst rate. Now, it isn't very long, the burst rate, but it's a burst rate nonetheless. And that's about it. You're only getting about 5 FPS burst, which isn't very good, but that's not the fault of the lens, that's the camera. Now, by no means is this a light lens. I used it for a few days with my Canon 1D Mark IV, and I'm pretty sure I've now got back problems because of it. Now, yes, the Canon 1D Mark IV is not a light camera, but I can normally carry it around quite easily in my bag. But having this lens and that camera really did hurt my back, so I wouldn't carry it very far. Although they are basically the only downside, the weight and the aperture. The rest of this lens is amazingly nice. Now, they are the only downsides, the low light abilities and the weight of it, which is quite a big thing, really, to be brutally honest. But the rest of this lens is amazing. The images on this lens are phenomenal. Landscape and portrait, they're going to be amazing. They are sharp, but not overly sharp. You can see it being a little bit soft in some areas, but it's kind of soft in all the right areas and sharp in the rest. And then there's, well, probably one of the biggest benefits to this lens, its mount. It is an EF mount, meaning it can fit on nearly all of Canon's cameras except for the new mirrorless lines. If you have a Canon EOS R, RP, R6, R3, it won't fit without an adapter. But on the positive side, if you do decide to use it on the Canon R line with an adapter, you can then crop in, meaning you've got more reach, as if you were on something like the 700D here. Yes. And this is, well, I need to walk back further and further and further to here, I think. I can't even see myself in my camera anymore, and I'm using my lavalier lapel microphone so you guys can actually hear me rather than the shotgun microphone I'm currently testing. So this is 70mm. It looks pretty good to me. Why don't we try 200? But I'm not doing that at a crop. So this is 200mm uncropped. Now you're probably thinking, Alex, this doesn't look much different to the other ones. Well, if we go over to my phone and I start recording, you can see what I'm talking about. I was originally sat there where them flowers are, and that is where the camera is, and this is where I am sat. Just hello. Yeah. So in summary, should you, watching this right now, buy this lens? Yes. At £300, it is an extremely good deal. If you can get it for any less, even better. This is staying in my bag now. I'm not kidding. This is genuinely going to go in my backpack. Anyway guys, thanks for joining me in this video, and I'll see you in the next one.